and huge lights went on that night, and named that as we are ladies and gentlemen. We serve ladies and gentlemen, but we're equal to the others, ladies and gentlemen. If we define ourselves as such, and for the first time, with other words, if I'm doing excellent what I'm doing, even if I wash dishes, I still can define myself as a fine gentleman by being excellent in what I'm doing. And I got it, and something hit me that was overwhelming for that moment, mind you. I can define myself as a gentleman. It's not up to anybody else. It's only me. It's not my job, name of the job, the work I do, the society, the country, the neighborhood. It is nothing but me who defines himself.
We believe that you are strong by design, and you were made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. You're listening to the #1 Strength and Health Authority podcast in the world. So let's get ready to unlock your potential and transform your life in today's episode.
Hello there. Welcome to another episode here on the Strong by Design podcast show. Hosting today, Chris Wilson. So delighted to have you joining the show today. If you're a first-time listener of the show, you are absolutely in for a very special treat. The gentleman that we have on the show today is a wealth of knowledge, and I'm so excited to have this opportunity to speak with him one-on-one after hearing him present and getting to know him a little bit, and having spent some time over breakfast with him, and what a wonderful conversation we had. And I know that will be very helpful, productive to you and how you live your life, no matter what it is that you do in your life. This translates to everything, how you approach just about anything that you're doing in your life. So thank you so much for finding the Strong by Design podcast. If you're a return listener, well, you know this is going to be filled with lots of nuggets for you to take away and produce some fruit in your life to utilize instantly. A lot of what you hear on our show is stuff that you can apply right away. If you've taken some notes, if you need to hit rewind and listen to a section again, I encourage you to do that. The great thing about our show is that most of these topics are evergreen. So, when you hear something that's really good and really truthful and really wise, it's applicable to all areas of life for kind of forever, right? So this is just exciting to be able to have this opportunity on the podcast to have these types of conversations that are real needle movers in people's lives. So we thank you so much, and I would encourage anybody, listen, if you love this episode, this conversation, please leave us a rating or a review. I go in and I read those, and I will gladly send you guys Strong by Design podcast gear. We got T-shirts. We have some other things here at Critical Bench, health and fitness type business that we have little equipment items and hats and all kinds of fun stuff that we can give away. So please go in, leave a rating or review, and I will reach out to you and try and get you something for free. So we appreciate that for sure. So our very special guest today on Strong by Design is the CEO and co-founder of the Ritz Carlton Hotel Company, Mr. Horst Schulze. And he was a presenter in a recent live event that I attended for the second time. It was a real treat to go to this wonderful setting with some absolutely wonderful people at the Florida Faith Leaders Summit last month. And Horst was the headlining talk to end the entire two-day event, and it was really wonderful. But that morning was even more special for me personally. I got to sit with him for a few hours over breakfast and just get to know his heart, to know what mattered for him in life as somebody who has achieved such a high level of success. It was great to get these insights for somebody like myself, a husband, a father, somebody that's career driven. There was so many great takeaways and things. I could have written pages of notes down just based on our breakfast conversation. So, Horst, thank you so much for being part of our show today. So great to have you.
Well, nice to be with you. Just one little correction. I wasn't CEO. I was president and COO, and reporting to the CEO, who was the owner. He owned many other companies, but he didn't give the title away to any company as a CEO. He stayed CEO and chairman and CEO, but he acted really as chairman, not as CEO. But anyway,
got you. Yes, I appreciate that.
No meaning. It has no meaning. Just there.
Right. They're just words.
Oh, you're an imposter.
Well, I appreciate that. My apologies.
No, not at all. Not at all. Sometimes I don't even hear it. Yeah, because I actually functioned as the CEO, but
yes,
because he was the owner, of various companies that he had, including he had another company. For example, he had one of them. Mind you, this is Ritz Carlton, the Ritz Carlton owner. He had another company with 150 Waffle Houses. That was
my goodness.
That was a close connection there.
Wow, the Waffle House and the Ritz Carlton. I never said those words in the same sentence.
No, did I.
Wow, very interesting. Well, again, such a pleasure to have you. And I was just so grateful when I reached out that you were so receptive and immediately said yes to being on the show. And obviously your book has been out now a few years, right? But was a great special treat to have in our boxes that we all got for attending the event. We got the books from a lot of the presenters, and so I'm very excited to get into this book. As we were talking before I hit record, I have the stigma of being involved in too many books at the same time. So this one would make like the fifth book. So I got to finish a few before I start yours.
Yeah, it's funny. It's out for 3 years already, and in fact, the publisher just called it. They're amazed how strong it's still going. It's going stronger than ever because it's word of mouth. Groups like that, so on. That's how books. I was always wondering, how do books sell? Well, my books didn't sell in the stores. It's all somebody, a group I spoke to, gave it to everybody. Or a CEO read it, had one CEO read it and bought 5,000 for all of his employees. Another one bought 3,000 and so on. So, and of course, that happened only after it became a little bit known. So I'm very lucky with that book, yeah. Very.
Oh, without question. And it's such a simple sounding title to the book, Excellence Wins. And but obviously this was something that took you decades to really learn and apply in your life. And I would love, because you're such a terrific storyteller, I think it's such an interesting journey that you've been on in your life, coming from the other side of the globe, And so if you wouldn't mind, go back, because I really found it really captivating when you were talking about when you were around 14 years old and this massive transition that you made from being in this small town, this village kind of environment, and going off on your own, 100 kilometers, as you said, away, and wanting to work at a hotel from this very young age.
Well, you have to understand that was in 1953. That was soon after the war. 100 kilometers at the time was endless, far away. We took the trains, changed several times to get there, and so on. So yeah, my parents inquired would it mean after I insisted I want to work in a hotel. They inquired, what does it mean to grow in a career in a hotel. And the government agency said, well, you should try and start in the best hotel possible. So they actually were able to secure a busboy job in the finest hotel in the region. And of course, before we went there, we could never go there. This is only for very fine ladies and gentlemen, and be sure you wash your underwear and everything. And mother, Obviously, this is the kind of stuff I heard. And then she took me there, and a very life-changing moments there, a lot of them there. And the first one was the first day getting there. I was introduced to the general manager together with my mother. And he said, now, understand, the guests here are very important, ladies and gentlemen, which my parents said, we could never go there. So, the guest is a hotel for fine ladies and gentlemen. And it was clear in our mind we were not. So, and the general manager said, well, now you behave yourself accordingly, and you all are here to serve those ladies and gentlemen. You're here to learn how to do this. And so, yeah, okay. Next, I'm meeting the maitre d', the head waiter of the hotel, who actually I work under, And he said, now, in very few sentences, he changed my life. Now, let me make clear, at the time, I didn't understand what he said. But he looked at me and said, now, tomorrow, show up at 7 o'clock. If I meant 1 minute after 7, I would tell you so. Now, he wanted to establish standards, exactness, all those things at the same time. And, okay, I knew I had to be there at 7. That's all I knew out of that sentence at the time. And then he said something very strange that I really didn't understand. And don't come to work. Come here to be excellent in what you're doing and create excellence. Excellence? I knew I had to wash dishes, clean floors, and so on. What could be excellent about that? But, very honestly, he was a human being of excellence. I have met very few in my life like it. I mean, it just was... Well, for a second here, what is excellence? Excellence is the result of high intent and high work and hard work. If you intend a 5, you will never accomplish an 8. But he, unlike anybody, had high intent in everything he did. In everything he did. His intent was not to serve food. His intent was to make people feel well, etc., with everything. So working with him for 2 years, after 2 years, I worked for him for 3.5 years, but after 2 years, and mind you, in Germany it's very common that when you work in an industry, once a week during the apprentice time, you go to a school of that industry. So once a week I went to hotel school. And after 2 years, the teacher of that school said, now that you're here for 2 years, why don't you write an essay about your industry? What do you feel? What do you experience? And of course, going back to work, you wonder, what am I going to write about and so on. And it so happened that night I was cleaning a table in a corner and I felt the maitre d' just entered the room. I'm serious. You knew when you entered the room that the whole room changed somehow and there was an air. And I turned around and I saw something that I had seen many times but not realized. I was a kid still, 16. He approached the table and I saw that the people on that table, many very important ladies and gentlemen, remember, they were proud that he came to them. And I thought, wait a minute, that's a reversal. They're proud because that it hit me that everybody in the room is proud if we talk to them. And I said, this is a huge reversal. And I gave that thought, and that night I started writing my essay, thinking about that. And I named the essay, and huge lights went on that night, and named that essay, we are ladies and gentlemen. We serve ladies and gentlemen, but we're equal to the others, ladies and gentlemen. If we define ourselves as such, and for the first time, with other words, if I'm doing excellent what I'm doing, even if I wash dishes, I still can define myself as a fine gentleman by being excellent in what I'm doing. And I got it, and something hit me that was overwhelming for that moment, mind you. I can define myself as a gentleman. It's not up to anybody else. It's only me. It's not my job, name of the job, the work I do, the society, the country, the neighborhood. It is nothing but me who defines himself. And it overwhelmed me, and I wrote that as a story, as an essay. We are ladies and gentlemen. And we also can sentence ourselves never to be ladies and gentlemen. It was also clear to me. First time in my life. I mean, it was an emotional evening for me. And I enjoyed it so much to realize I am in charge. And it was a funny thought. And I went, and the next thing happened, I got an A for that. And I never had an A. So it made even more impact on me. But incidentally, I never had an A afterwards either. But
that's really powerful and such a profound thing to realize at the age of 16. You kind of are who you think you are. That your belief, your internal belief about yourself is really what drives the outward, what everyone else sees. And I remember having those same feelings when I was younger in my 20s working in the furniture business. And I would see how certain people who were veteran salespeople that had been working in this company and in that line of work for years. And I remember watching them and their mannerisms, the way they dressed, the way they spoke with people, how they took their job very seriously, and the way they presented themselves to others as real professionals at what they did. And what happened? Those were the people that were the most successful in that line of work because the way they carried themselves.
That's how they define themselves. It's so strange that we don't understand that. Somehow we think, and we forfeit it. We think, and we let society to define us. We are followers. I can see during the political situation that just went on, that it's following. It's not. There's no decision in it. 90% of the voters make no decision. They're just following. I could see that clearly when I said I'm following, and I look at it, and it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. We follow us rather than, hey, I define myself. I'm I, and I can make it. Even if I don't like this one guy, I still know what is right and wrong, what he does right, what does wrong, etc. And why we turn that over to others, I'm not understanding. And there's no knowledge anymore that we define. I talked to a young lady today, believe it or not. It's kind of, I don't know if anybody will understand what I just say, but I'll try. I know her a little bit, a very pretty girl, and she has a big nose ring she had on. So I asked her, what you're trying to accomplish, how do you try to define yourself with the nose ring? I wasn't against it. I just want to know what purpose she has, because clearly that hits everybody. So everybody looks at them, makes a decision. What decision do you think want to get out of it? She thought I was told something negative. I wasn't. I tried to understand, and didn't get an answer. And I realized afterwards I shouldn't have placed her because she doesn't even know that she, in a way, defines herself with this. She doesn't even know it. But we must know. We have to give it thought that I studied that with behavioral analysts would tell you, people make a decision about you if you come within 10 feet of them. And you make a decision about them too, subconsciously. So what decision do I want them to make? It's okay if it is a no thing. I'm not against it. Do not misunderstand me. As long as you have given it thought, what decision am I creating in somebody's mind?
Yes. And I think a lot of people go through life many years well into their adulthood without having those thoughts and that reflection. They just kind of are going through the motions of things and not thinking about
they're not in part of it,
perception of others.
But they find whom to blame for the outcome.
Right. Correct.
Sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of finger pointing, right? And excuse me.
All around us.
Yes.
It's fascinating.
You had said something too, which was quite interesting. So you're in this environment for several years as a teenage boy, learning the ropes, so to speak, really getting that experience, and then you were at a point where years later, where you realized, or you thought at the time, you were the right man for the job that was becoming available.
Oh yeah, I told that story. Yeah, well,
yes,
you understand that one. I worked for this Mediocrity for 3.5 years. The gentleman, he truly forced us in 30, 40, 50 comments a day. Wait a minute, come here. Is this excellent? What was your intent here? I mean, he really taught us to think that way. And before I left, he made me look. I left from there to work in the finest hotels in Europe. I mean, truly, really the very finest in the world at the time. I left from there to work in the Beaubourg Palace in Bern, and afterwards in the Bellevue Palace in Lausanne, and the Plaza in Paris, and the Claridge's in Savoy in London, and so on and so on. And the finest days in the world. But he made me look him in the eye and said, look me in the eye and promise me you will never go to work. Promise me you will go to work to create excellence at all times. Have a high intent, have always high intent what we're doing. I promise you. And I took off. Mind you, I was very young. When I left there, I was 18. Now I take off and work in Switzerland. I'm on my own in Paris, and then I have my parties. And somebody offered me the job to come to the United States, and I said, I'm happy to. Hey, you Americans, you always want to hear that I say, I wanted to come to a free country. That wasn't it. He offered me a job. If he would have said Zimbabwe, I would have said, great. And so that was the time of that age, and time young and excited. And I came to San Francisco and worked in the Hilton. Great hotel, large hotel in the Tenderloin district, and worked in room service. The only job there was. Early in the morning, serving room service. And I learned very fast. I was there a couple of months. And one of the room service supervisors, and there were 4, got promoted to restaurant manager. I knew right there, this is a promotion job. And I want to get the next supervisor job. It's because one of the waiters got promoted to be supervisor. I said, wow, wait a minute. I built my life around this. I will get the next promotion because I'm a much better waiter than all of them. I know not only to take orders and deliver the food, I know the chemical composition, what beverage goes with what, how to put it, if it goes from the left or from the right. I know everything. I am the best waiter here, so I will get the job. And I had another in because, frankly, I knew I would get it because the manager was German too. So this was my job. So I built my total future thinking around it, and I was really excited about it. Man, in the next few months I get this, then I will stay another year. I go back to Europe. I have learned another language. I know I'm still working on that. Okay, guys? So, and another language, I know the culture, I know new systems, new approaches. I was promoted, so that will be a great step when I go back to Europe after 2 years about. Sure enough, 6-8 months later, one of the supervisors got promoted. Now, the manager called us together. We knew it all that he got promoted already, happy. And the manager said, I want to get you all together. And he said, you know, Joe got promoted to restaurant manager in the company. let's all promote Joe, what a great job, how much he deserves it, how wonderful to work with him, and all the beautiful things that were said. And he said, oh, of course, one of you gets now promoted to supervisor. And there I was. I had dressed a little better that morning because I knew that was my job. And then he said, the next supervisor will be Bill. And I knew I wasn't Bill. I knew that, believe me. And the world broke apart. I mean, totally broke apart. It was disastrously feeling. I was the ego, everything. And it proved to me that management is stupid and all that stuff that goes through somebody's silly mind. And it took me several months to start realizing and accepting that the other guy deserved it more. Because in my youth, I was partying. I wasn't going to work for excellence. I mean, I was going to work. I realized that. The other guy came in early a little bit. I came in a few minutes later. Oh, just a few minutes. What's the big deal? Yeah, sure. If the Mediocrity, the manager of the room service said, the manager of room service in this case said, somebody do some side work, folding napkins, whatever. I said, why me? Why not the other guys? When he walked in the morning, he said, good morning, everybody. When I walked in the morning, I was too tired because I was partying the night before. And once the realization was filled, I was filled with that realization, I went back to my little room in the Tenderloin district, believe you me, which is another experience that was, and I talked to my Mediocrity, who had passed away in the meantime. He didn't show up as a ghost, but I talked with him. And I said, I'm sorry, I went to work. And I promised him it would never, ever happen again. I apologized that I had promised to him and broke my promise. And I went to work, and I will go for excellence from now on. And from there on, my career took off like a rocket ship. I went on from there to the point where I became president, CEO, to start a new hotel company. In the meantime, I was corporate vice president for Hyatt. I left Hilton, joined Hyatt pretty soon after. I became in Hilton. I became catering manager, assistant food and beverage director over 2 hotels, and then I joined Hyatt to become food and beverage director. I became rooms. Here's my time in Hyatt, for example. I became food and beverage director in the new Hyatt Regency Chicago. Year and a half later, I became rooms manager. Year later, I became general manager in a hotel in Pittsburgh. 2.5 years later, I became general manager in a much larger Regency hotel in Michigan. A year later, I became regional vice president over 10 hotels. 2 years later, I became vice president over 65 hotels.
Wow. That
was my career. But I promise you, I didn't go to work anymore.
Yeah.
I went to work. I went to that place to create excellence. And then, of course, I started Ritz Carlton.
Right. It's a wonderful story because so many times in life when people see someone of a certain level of success, they don't see, it's like they just see the tip of the iceberg sticking out of the water. They don't see what's underneath, all that it took to get to that point.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. We had a conversation about salaries in life and so on. And I said, if you would know the hours that I worked creating Ritz Carlton, I didn't take a single day off the first 2 years when we created the company. Mind you, it was creation of the company. Not one day, not Christmas, not holiday, nothing. Not my wife's, not my wife, our anniversary, not one day for 2 years. The hours, 12 hours, you must be kidding me. There wasn't a day under 16 creating it. You know what you paid. And I said, I didn't make minimum wage if you put it into the hours, you know. So, nobody has an idea what went into it. Today it looks glamorous. And even the people that worked there with me said, wasn't that great what we did? Yeah. I remember a lot of pain too. But it was great, being with great people, creating something wonderful.
Yes. And that's really what it's all about, right? It's what, you know, if you ask a Super Bowl champion, you know, what what's the greatest part of this season? Is it right now? And I think a lot of them would say, no, it was all the work that it took to get here. It's great to get to win the big game on the one day, but it's all those other games where we found each other as a team, and we learned, and we grew together, and we became closer, and we were all on the same mission together. And it was all those other moments that culminated in the one moment, but it was all that other stuff that made it worth it.
Oh, yeah. When I get together with Ritz Carlton guys and we talk about our hero moments, it's the difficult moments we talk about. Not the easy ones. Yeah.
Not the easy ones.
Yeah.
It's the overcoming moments.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. I love that. Something that you had shared, which I found really wonderful, a couple of things that you shared at this point. When you had reached this level of success and were in those first few years of getting the Ritz Carlton Company off the ground, you committed to something that you did for the first 50 that were opened, which I think is quite unusual, right? You opened every hotel yourself personally, and you did orientations and instruction with the staff.
Yeah.
Will you just share that a little bit?
Mind you, I had worked in the meantime in great hotel companies with Hilton, individual hotels, the greatest individual hotels in Europe, then with Hilton, with Hyatt, and I wanted to create something standard above, go to a higher level. And of course, I had to ask myself when I wondered what is my vision creating this new hotel company. I was not an investor. I was hired to run that company. There were investors and developers that were building a new hotel, and they needed somebody. They had nothing to do with hotels. They needed somebody to run the hotel company. And I was hired before the first hotel. So I questioned myself, first of all, what do I want? Why would I join that? I work for a great company, have everything I want. But what was offered there was a dream to create something for myself, to create true excellence in the business. And I followed that dream. I had a purpose now. And I questioned myself, though, and the dream was I want to create the highest respected, greatest hotel company in the world. Mind you, we didn't have a hotel yet. But then I had to ask myself, is that good for everybody? Is that good for the investors? Without them, you have nothing, by the way. Okay, let's be honest. Is it good for the investors? I also question myself if it's good for me. Okay? And then, is it good for the investors? Would that be good for every customer? And I answered the question and wrote down why it would be good for all those pieces. Then would it be really good for every employee? Every employee? The answer was yes. And then would it be good for society as a whole? And I had to ask myself, and you as a business person, whoever's listening, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I asked myself when I was finished with that, and I didn't do that in 1 minute. That took nearly a whole day. And when I was finished with that, I said, would God approve? Would God approve? And once the answer was yes, it was clear that I had no more rights to do anything else or to compromise it. But I also knew then that standard that I saw, I have to get personally involved. So mind you, we didn't have a hotel at that time. So I run the first hotel as a manager, and where I teach others that become managers. So I ran the first hotel as a manager. When we took over the next hotel, I wanted to make sure, so I went to start the first day and the first 2 weeks of training in that hotel. And I then kept on doing that until we had hotels in 5 continents and opened every one of the first 40, 50 hotels that were there. And of course, that was a lot of hardship. I was away 250 days a year from my family. Thank goodness, have a sensational wife, I mean, truly, who supported and took care of the family and supported and kept the unit intact. And that was my biggest weakness. And I understand today, in my age, much more. Of all the units that exist, work, clubs, anything, the most important one is marriage. I'm not sure if I understood it at that time. Maybe verbally, but not deep in me. But so after 20 years, I finally resigned, my wife convinced me to resign.
How long did that last, Horst?
Yeah, well, I resigned on a Friday. Let me tell you how that worked. I mean, no kidding. On a Friday, I resigned. My wife picked me up, my kids picked me up, we went home, we cried, and, I mean, it was time. And first of all, it was high time, and the painting was painted. There wasn't nothing to create anymore, just add another flag somewhere. It was done. But it was very, very, very sad to leave there. It was my baby, I still feel that when I walk into Ritz Carlton after many years. So on Monday, I went back to my wife and said, you know what, I'm looking for an office. She said, why? I said, because I'm going to do it one more time. Oh my gosh, that was like a hand grenade just went off in the room in the car. Boom, how dare you? I mean, after all this trouble, leaving me alone with the kids, and now you say you want... No. I didn't handle that well, I know. So I said, I got it, you're right. I had to admit, you're right. This is outrageous. But after a few days, Sherry came to me and said, I was thinking about this conversation. That's who you are, and I support who you are. Go ahead, but don't do it as you did it before. So we created a hotel company named Capella, which incidentally I sold 3 years ago, and incidentally is now rated #1 in the world. And the hotel in Bali is voted best hotel in the world. So it worked again. In the meantime, I consult with all kind of companies, bank, a real estate company, a financial company, a medical company, and so on, and a few boards and consult. And you know what? It's all the same. Know what the customer wants. It's not about you. Know what the customer wants. Know where you want to take the company. What is your vision? Is the vision good for all concerned? Is it truly good for the employees? Then select employees to join you. How much rhetoric do you hear right now? We can't find the employees. It's rhetoric. There are plenty of people out there. The problem is they don't want to work for you. How about creating a company where people want to work for you? And invite people to join you, not for the function. We all, and this, let's think about that for a moment. It's nearly immoral. I said all the time, it nearly is. We hire people to fulfill a certain function. But guess what? The chair on which we're sitting is fulfilling a function, but we are hiring human beings. And so we learned not to hire for function anymore, but to offer to join our beautiful dream of becoming the best in the world. But tell them how they will benefit from that dream. Opportunity, respect, honor, defining ourselves as the best together. So offering a job and bring them in, and that's what we learned. And of course, having the right process management, continuous improvement of process. I studied that careful in between. That's why our company won the Malcolm Baldrige Award as the best managed organization in America, and twice. And so it's all intent to be excellent in what we're doing. That's all, and anybody can do that. Where it breaks down, when you have the right intent, I learned that from all my managers that I work with. It breaks down when they find excuses, when they establish a high intent, but then they find an excuse. They call it a reason why it cannot be accomplished. There is no reason. It is an excuse. But if you dismiss all they come to me too. I'm human. I too have my moments and said it cannot be done. Why I do that? I was wrong. This is why all of a sudden I know why it cannot be done. Until I say, whoa, focus on the vision, not on the excuse. Anybody can do it. And it's hard work. Yeah. It's painful sometimes. It doesn't go well all the time. You fall in the mud. Just get up again and look at your vision.
But this is the backbone to business success, is the culture that you create inside your business and treating people with dignity and respect and caring for the people that work for you, for your business. And you guys obviously did it at a whole new level. It was an incredible level, one to obviously emulate, and that's written about in your book. And it makes me think of our core values, which you don't know what ours are here at Critical Bench. We are a health and fitness online publishing company, right? We've been creating fitness and health products and programming for over 20 years, helping people live stronger, healthier, longer, more fulfilling lives, you know. And Strong by Design is the mantra that we came up with years ago, before the podcast, just as it's something that we just found really empowering, very powerful phrase. You are strong by design. You are created strong by design by our Creator, but then you also have to live that in everyday choices and decisions that we make, right? And so we have 7 core values here in our business. And the one that really sticks out for me based on your book and what you've talked about is service is one of our core values, and the servant leadership. And we defined our core value as to lead with the heart of a servant and serve with the heart of a king. And that really comes down to that how you see yourself and how that's reflected in how other people respond and see you. It's everyone's a lady and gentleman, and it comes from service.
Yes, of course. Yeah, well, it very definitely. And what is interesting here, that's a very important point. I hope whoever listens gets that. There are 3 types of customers, very fast. The dissatisfied one, who can become a terrorist against you. The satisfied one, who goes next door if they think there's a better deal. And then there's the loyal one. Now, why are they loyal? They're loyal because of the relationship, the service piece. Now, let me add that on there. Please remember that here. What do they expect from you? They're expecting from you the same expectation exists in every single human being in all cultures when they buy something. If they buy a product, anything, they want the product to be defect-free. You too. Anybody who's listening, buy a bottle of water, you want to be defect-free, subconsciously. Number 2, you want it timely. You want it when you want it. Period. Timeliness is very important. Number 3, you want them to be nice to you when they sell it to you. That is that moment of relationship. And that being nice creates loyalty. By the way, and whoever listening, please listen to that if you have a business. Those are all facts. Don't go away. Hear me. There's a recent study shows that the market as a whole, 70% of the market says, if I buy a product from you and you care for me, I will buy that product from you even if I know I could get it cheaper next door. Wow, that's how important this moment of relationship is. Imagine, but here's even something more fascinating. 80% of the millennials say so. Now, why would we ignore that? And I know 80% of the market of tomorrow wants me to be nice to them. Why wouldn't I create processes to be sure I and everyone of my company is nice to the customer? Anyway, it was difficult for me. Look at the scaling we had to do. I had hotels in 5 continents. And I have to make sure that my doorman in Shanghai is as nice as the guy next door, and the guy in Berlin, and the guy in Osaka, the guy in Africa, and the guy in Jamaica. Yes, but it can be done. But it has to be done by the fundamental means of making that happen, make that possible, is to respect your employees. Don't hire them to work for you. Ask them to join you in something beautiful, but connect them how they will benefit from that beautiful. Inform them. You see, it is very important. In that moment, they're part of your company and not just only working for your company. In my opinion, this is honestly my opinion, the greatest gift you can give an employee is purpose and belonging. The purpose is to become together the finest in the world, in our case. In that moment, you also belong. And as Aristotle already said, the real fulfillment of a human being is if they have purpose and belonging. Now, why wouldn't we offer that? What is it that we don't offer that? No, we offer a function. And then we have expectations of them. Makes no sense.
It's the difference between a job and a career.
Sure.
And you know, do you...
And plus, yeah, absolutely. And plus, there's this deeper thing of belonging.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all want to belong. We crave it. We're social animals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that is the term. That is established.
No question about it. You had shared something that I hadn't realized, but it made perfect sense once you revealed it. That you also had some experience with the Chick-fil-A people, and obviously anyone listening is probably very familiar with Chick-fil-A. I know without question, if you asked my children or my wife, without me being present, without even thinking about it, they'd immediately say that Chick-fil-A is their favorite fast food, but it's not just because of the food.
No, well, we have to understand again. I work with people that analyze to see the behavioral analysts of two universities, one in Europe, one in Colorado, about the whole behavior analysis, what is it, what sounds good, what and so on. So it's not my thinking, first of all. And mind you, to go back, Dan Cathy, the son of the founder who was Truett Cathy in Atlanta, when Dan tells the story, he always says 20 years ago. It's over 30. Okay, it's over 30 years ago. We were running a race together, Dan and I. And after the race, we started talking, walking back, and said, by the way, he said, have you been in Chick-fil-A? They had some in Atlanta. I said, sure. And he said, so what do you think? What is it? What? And I looked at him and said, Dan, you're the best of a lousy lot. And he, what that would, people know me, know that's me. They can't help it. I say things that are not very nice always. He said, what do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, so we went looking, and I said, the way they looked, and so he asked me to work with him and his managers, his vice president at the time in Atlanta. And so we're meeting in the headquarters, and this is a funny story. Everybody comes, so many people who know me, come and say, Chick-fil-A, my pleasure, that must be you. I know that must be you. Here's how it was me. We had a meeting, and the founder, Truett Cathy, exceptional gentleman, and Dan too. They're such great people. They're wonderful people. Dan had a meeting, but Truett, the father, was sitting in the back, and the manager sitting there, and I said to them, here it is. Here's what we do in Ritz Carlton, and you have what I'm saying, you have to interpret it into your business. Number one, they have to feel good in the moment they enter. You have to understand, when I'm sitting in the office, 3-4 guys of us, we say, let's go for lunch. Where do we end up going? Everybody thinks it's where the food is good. That's not true. Behavioral analysts tell you it's wrong. You go where you felt good.
Yes. Includes
the food, obviously. So I said, the food is done. I cannot change your chicken. But let's see what else can we do food. First of all, when you come in, you should say hello right away. And don't necessarily say hi. We don't say hi. When I say hi, I'm saying we're equal. But if I say, good morning, sir, I'm saying I respect you, and at the same time showing that I am professional. So we discussed that, how we say hello, then and how we look at people and so on. Then we discussed, don't say folks, guys, and so on. We don't say that. I don't care what you say in the Chick-fil-A, but we say ladies and gentlemen, sir, ma'am, and so on. And then I finally say, when you give the order, when you do anything, we don't say okay. We say, that's my pleasure. I want another pillow. That's my pleasure. Chicken, my pleasure. Now, then I told him, but that's wrong for you to do. Because you're a fast food restaurant. My pleasure is really a little, that fits for Ritz Carlton.
Too good for fast food.
Your market. Your market, they think you're silly if you do that. And everybody agreed. Okay, what are we going to say? But I said, don't say okay. Or worse, no problem. What are we going to say? And all of a sudden, in that discussion, the owner was sitting in the back and said, I like my pleasure. So I argued with him. I said, I understand. I like it too. That's why we use it. But it's wrong for you. He said, I like it. But and then finally I thought, oh, he's the owner. I better shut up. He like it. And guess what they're saying? My pleasure. And guess what? It's a major success. So
it's the greatest fast food chain in this country in the last 2 decades.
I know.
And I don't think you can even argue
for it. And I was against it.
I love it. I love that story. I actually have some friends of mine that are proprietors that own some Chick-fil-A's themselves, and they're wonderful people, and they take great pride in the businesses that they've created and the people that they employ and the culture that they've created. And I can't say one time I've had a bad experience at a Chick-fil-A. I haven't been looked at in the eyes. I haven't gotten a smile. My kids, even in the drive-through line, have said, "Why are they so nice, Daddy?" Why did And I just said, because it makes them feel good that we feel good.
Yeah, and they're
treated this way, and they want to treat us this way.
And I can tell you with utmost sincerity, and Dan is a good friend, mind you, and I know how they think and feel about it all. And they're sincere, they want to give a great product, they want to sincere, they care for the customer, they're grateful of the business that is, and so on. And of course, it's a huge company today. It's a huge company. It is success built on excellence. Excellence wins. Period. Give it where the name came from in a way. One day I was talking to a group of people, of employees, all kind of tip employees, and I said, and the front desk and doorman, and I said to them, where do you want to be? I tried to build their own vision. Where do you want to be in 6 months from now? And sure enough, they said, we want to be the best. I said, great. I turned around and wrote on the flip charts, the best, your vision. And I said, that is why you should come to work from now on, to be the best. And somebody behind me shouted, I come to work for money. And I turned around and I said, this was a very sad statement, because you answer me all together. Who will make more money in the end? The one that is the best, or the one that just works for money? It's a simple answer. But you have to think a little deeper. You have to have a higher intent. Goodness, how just working for money is like a wild animal foraging for food. Why do they forage for food? So that they live, so they can have offspring, so they can build a den and so on. We do the same thing for money? But we are human beings. We have to have a higher intent in our lives. My goodness.
And that's what makes, and that's the fulfillment part. That's the purpose part. That's what makes it worthwhile. What good is it to accomplish greatness or great wealth if you haven't Yeah.
And it will make more money. Come on. That's you're the guy.
It's a side effect, right?
That's right.
The wealth is a side effect of why you should be doing it in the first place.
That's why in our board meetings, in all board meetings, I am part, and I have been part with others, and in all board meetings, what do we discuss? Driven by the circumstances, mind you, okay? We discuss money, legal suits, another money, Wall Street report, and all those things. We never discuss the things that make money. And that's our excellence. And we shouldn't talk about money. Let's talk about what makes money, and the money will be there. That's the same thing with you as the individual. If you discuss being excellent, you will make the money in what you're doing, and you will get your recognition.
Love it. It's just fantastic mindset stuff. How people in any area of business, any path that they have chosen in their life, they can apply this same thinking. And it's about how you approach your day, how you approach being a parent, a spouse. As you stated in our breakfast together, that your greatest accomplishment is your relationship with your wife, your marriage.
Wait a minute. It's also the most important institution in this world. If there is no higher institution in this world, there are all kinds of institutions, and then there's schools, business, and all kinds of institutions. But the most important institution that really is the most lasting, maybe even eternally, all right, is marriage. So why wouldn't you put the same effort into that? Well, and I said to your group at the time, because I kind of was a relaxed surrounding, so I said, what is your high intent with your marriage? What is your high intent? And once you establish a high intent, my high intent when I got married nearly 44 years ago was to be in love the rest of my life. Not just love. No. In love. This beautiful feeling to say, wow, there's my wife. And that was my high intent. But once the high intent is established, you have to establish how you're going to do that. And so you have to go on to your marriage, and that works very easy in the first few years. And then you have to grow from there. And then you have to move to what you do, your business. You have to continuously improve it. You cannot stand still. No business will survive and stand still. What about your marriage? So guys, I said, and let me say that to you, all your guys listening, and don't be mad with me, guys. I just give you, if you listen to me, if you honestly listen to me now, and honestly apply, that means you improve your life. And in your mind, I hope you're thankful to me. So listen careful. To improve your marriage, the most important institution that exists, the only God-ordained institution. Guys, ask your wife, how can I be a better husband? And then apply it. And to your own excellence, by the way, excellence again in a thing, if it works well for what it was created. In you as a human being, excellence is manifold. It's number one, are you doing your very best in the functions that you fulfill? Not perfect, your best. Are you questioning yourself, am I doing my very best? Are you thinking once in a while, how could I do my work better? And then tweak it. That's number one. Number two, are you doing your very best in your relationships? Wow. And it's the relationship that you have that creates the opinion about you, not the function. Your business, your individual, and so on. So when have you asked yourself the last time, how could I do my relationships better? Every relationship. When you walk by somebody, that's a second of relationship. Why don't you do this 4 times a day? That's a big deal. But it takes nothing. When you walk by somebody even, think, how could I have done it better? When you meet an employee, how could I have done it better? When you meet with the boss, how could I have done it better? When you converse with a fellow worker, how could I have done it better? And tweak it. And you become the expert relationship. And it is the one that creates the opinion about you. There you are. And of course, as a human being, how can I do my very best in my morality, in my spirit, in my values, in my morality? And finally, I think we have to ask ourselves also, no, you don't have to, how can I do better in my spirituality? And then tweak all those things and keep on continuously improving on those elements that make a human being.
It's being intentional.
Yeah, that's it.
And I love it.
Exactly.
And more of us need to do that reflection and be honest with ourselves and give ourselves a score on some of these things from 1 to 10. And
pay attention. Look at guys. Look, particularly the guys and the ladies too. How hard we work in our jobs. How hard we work to be successful. Some of us. And here, the most important institution. What we do? Why don't we do it? And with the guys. Now back to the guys. Why don't you do it? And I can tell you why. Because of your macho insecurities. Oh, are you insecure? I'm not insecure. You're a guy, very insecure. And you try to be macho at the same time. Come on, overcome yourself. Sit down with your wife. Tell her how much you love her. That you think about the beauty of your young days together. And by the way, I want to have that same feeling still. What can I do to be better husband for you? Love of my life. Why not?
It's wonderful because from that, everything else improves. For any married man out there, when you're putting in the work and the effort in your relationship with your spouse, that's gonna raise the bar for every other area of your life and how you feel about your life and her ability. It's all reciprocated, right? It all comes right back to you. And now she's pouring into you because you're pouring into her. And
mostly it enhances the value of your own life.
Yes, absolutely right. 'Tis better to give than receive.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many great places where people can see more of you, can find your book. I know they can go to your website, horstschulze.com, right? That would be a good spot. You have a great picture there, and they could click book, and you have a master class. You have speaking engagements, I'm sure, right, that they could find out about. And then you're on social media. I know you're the Horst Schulze on Instagram, I believe.
Oh yeah, I don't know exactly what it is. Yeah,
I think so.
My daughter manages that. Look at my age. I'm not a technical savvy guy. Look at me.
Yeah, but you it's good. Age is just a number. You're everywhere where you need to be, which is great. But I can't recommend enough the book. Right here, I'm just trying to hold it up in front of my face.
Obviously, it's in Amazon and so on, and it's
Amazon obviously is like the number one.
Just like the first day, it sells a lot, frankly.
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful, and I can't wait to really pick through it and give it the time it deserves. Once I'm not so bogged down with all these other books.
Hey, not only that, if you really read it, you're a better man afterwards.
That's right. Amen to that, my friend. Well, Horst, honestly, truly an honor for you to make this time for us on the show. Just wonderful, wonderful information that people can utilize instantly in their lives and make their lives better, more worthwhile, and they can be more excellent. I know we all can do that and use that in our lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really, absolute pleasure.
Chris, it was a pleasure. I can only see you. I cannot see those of you online, but to all of you, God bless you, and it was nice to be with you. Thank you.
Yes. I told you, as I promised at the start, another wonderful conversation today that can really change your life, to help you live a life strong by design. That's why we do the show. It's our ministry. It's a way to give back. In life, this is my purpose. This is my career. This is the path I've chosen, and I'm just so blessed to be able to help other people in this way with this podcast. So thank you for finding our show, for choosing our show, coming back. Next week we'll have another episode, as always, here on Strong by Design. God bless you. Talk with you soon.
Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe so that more people can find out about our show. Plus, you don't want to miss any future episodes with the amazing guests and topics we have lined up for you.